Okay, so this is block 1, the half square block, and this is just a lot of little half squares that are all trimmed down to 2.5 inches. So what the pattern will tell you to do, and here's your pattern you'll get each month, and it's going to give you the cutting chart also at the top of the page, and then it will show you that we're going to place our accents and the backgrounds right together. So I take my block 1 packet, and I will take my pieces and I put my accent down on the table, my background right side together, line them up, and then you can take any ruler and you can lay this here and do a diagonal line down the middle. And then you can take it to your machine and use the edge of your foot, so 1/4 inch on both sides. Or you can take your background piece and your accent piece, and you can use this little ruler here, and you can line up the corner edges here and put the diagonal line there, and you can draw the 1/4 inch lines on both sides if you don't have a 1/4 inch foot. So what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we have a 1/4 inch foot if at all possible for your machines. If you do not have a 1/4 inch foot, there is this sewing guide, it's a sewing edge that you can take and place next to your foot. This is on my little plate. I have taken it and I have just put it's got a sticky back to it, so you just put your ruler down like so. Put your needle down on the 1/4 inch, and then you put your little guard right next to it. And that really gives you a nice way of getting a true 1/4 inch seam, because then you can always take and put your pieces right next to there. All right, we're going to our diagonal line down the center of our triangle, our squares, and we're just going to put the edge of the foot right next to that line, and we're just going to sew right next to that line, and that's going to give us our 1/4 inch seam on that side. Then I'm going to just pull it out and turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Edge of the foot right next to the line. Now we're going to take it over to the cutting mat, and we're going to cut right on that line. And then we're going to press. The pressing directions are given right here on our piece. This is the A1, and it is the accent 1, and it's pressed toward the triangle, the purple triangle, the accent triangle. And so you can finger press it back, or you can just take it over to the iron, and we're going to press it with the iron. So I just pressing it all the way over to the iron. You really want to make sure that you watch the way they're supposed to be pressed, because everything will butt into itself when we're done if we press them correctly. So you can also take and put the 2 squares together with your quick guide ruler, and then draw your lines and sew on those 2 lines if you don't have the 1/4 inch foot to give you that perfect seam along the side. So what I do then is I take my squares and I lay them out. This is a wonderful little Fiskars rotating mat. It's a 7-inch mat. It's a really nice little mat to be able to use the block lock rulers with. So what I will show you is first the block lock, and then I'll show you just using a regular ruler. What I love about the block lock is it has this groove on the back, and that fits right over the seam. You want to make sure when you're putting this down that you don't put it this way so that the point is not on the seam, because that's a common mistake. But you just take and place it so that that little groove locks right onto the seam. And then we're going to take and we're going to cut and turn the mat. And then when we're all done, we have the perfect 2.5 inch square. If you don't have the block lock, you can certainly use any ruler with a diagonal, square ruler with a diagonal line. You just place the diagonal line down on that seam, hold it down. We're going to trim 2 sides, And then we're going to take and turn it around and turn the ruler around, keeping that diagonal line on the seam. But this time we have to put the 2.5 inch lines of the ruler right here and right there on the outside edge, and then trim the other 2 sides. So it can be done with a regular square ruler, but as you see, the block lock makes it just really cool. Okay, now that I have all my squares trimmed, we're going to take and lay them out according to what our pattern says. So I'm laying this block out here. I've got my main print here, my accent 2, accent 1, and accent 6. So these half squares are all laid out. This one is the second block, and this one doesn't have the main print. It's just accent 2, accent 1, and accent 6. Now I need to lay out the last one, which is accents 3 and 4 and 6. And so these are the accent 3s, and they're going to go like that. The accent 4 goes right inward, and accent 6 goes out. So try that one more time. So we have this one in, this one goes like this. This one goes in, and this one goes out. So now I will take and I will sew these blocks together, and we're sewing here, and then down. Here, and then down. So that's how we sew all of these blocks together. Okay, so now that I have all my squares sewn together, I want to show you the little trick on the back. And what you want to do on the back of these seams is we want to spin that center seam just like that. And to do that, we just take out the stitches that are going up here and up here, out, down to that center seam, and that will allow you to press these seams going in a circular motion and have a nice flat center. That's going to allow all the pieces to butt into each other. And here we have 4 of these corner segments. This is a corner unit right here, and there are 4 of them in the pattern. And so this, when we put together, will create a 16-inch block. And then when we frame it with our 2.5-inch main print fabrics or framing fabric, then you will be able to get a 20-inch block, which we will have for each of our blocks. This is what I have to contend with all the time that I'm sewing. So this is the block that we're making for January. Hope you have fun with it. And if you have any trouble, you can always email me. Thank you. Also, if you are not one of my class students and you would like to be able to do this sampler, you can contact me at my email address, and I can send you either email or in hard mail, snail mail, the pattern each month, and you can do it along with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot of different techniques. It's going to be $22 for the whole year, and that is including the shipping. And at the end of the year, I will send you a spiral bound completed pattern so that you have it all in one piece.